welcome. You're listening to the Leading Hope Podcast. My name is VJ Williams, here with my friend and pastor, Kevin Jack. Thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day to become a better leader. If you're new, we release a new episode every Wednesday morning. Easiest way to remember every week, hit the subscribe button, get that automatically downloaded every week to your podcast platform. Your favorite one, right? That's the one that we always like. Also, share this with a friend on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. And please rate and review. If you just take a couple seconds and do that, you won't believe how that will help get this podcast in the hands of all the leaders like you who are trying to get better like us. And visit leadinghope.online, get updates, and find out more about the Leading Hope community. Kevin, this is episode 230, and you've titled this, Know Your Excuse.
I'm excited about this one today.
Know it.
Can I tell you that?
Oh, I'm excited too.
I'm really excited.
Good.
All right.
We know that because in the last episode, you said this was the most important thing you could give your energy to today.
It is true. So let's go. Ready?
I'm ready. Know your excuse.
All right. So I'll start here.
With an excuse?
Shut up.
All right.
We know
Nope.
that growth and comfort are incompatible.
We do know that.
We know that.
Yes.
Cool. Just starting point.
We don't like it.
Everybody is aware. Growth and comfort. My friend Tim says, I'm sure he got it from someone. There's no comfort in the growth zone, and there is no growth in the comfort zone.
There you go.
Okay, so one of the things that has become more common in how people speak, that it's a little bit in the culture, the idea of choose your hard. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're going to grow, you have to. So do you want to working out is hard? Having poor health is hard. You have to pick. You can do one. They're both difficult. You choose which hard you want. Regret is hard. Discipline is also hard. Pleasing everyone is hard. That's an exhausting life. Pursuing what really matters to you, also hard. Debt is hard. Financial discipline is hard. Good?
Yep.
So we understand you choose your hard. And I think what I find is that when we display it like that, the choice is really easy. You go, well, of course I'm going to choose workout, discipline, lack of debt. Of course I'm going to choose all these other things. Yes, it's hard. But then this is what I notice people do is because we dislike leaving our comfort, that people will introduce an unnecessary extreme into the equation as a way of choosing the thing that is actually easier to do. So just hang with me if this doesn't make sense. I hope it will in the short term. So you have the options of work hard or stay the same. Those are your options. But then all of a sudden, because we know working hard is hard, then all of a sudden people are like, well, I don't want to do that. I'd rather stay in comfort. And so they introduce this extreme, you can work hard or stay the same. Well, I don't want to be a workaholic, because I know people who are workaholics, and I don't want that to be my life. Other examples, you can be fit or be unhealthy. Well, I don't want to be one of those gym nuts that's all they can talk about, and they don't have any social life because they're so obsessed with the gym. And so I'm not gonna do that. You can be in debt or financial discipline. Well, I don't want to be those people who can't have any fun. I want to actually, because there's people they'll die early, and then all their financial discipline is for nothing. One more. You can be a leader or a people pleaser. Well, I'm not going to be a jerk. And it's interesting. So we have these categories of growth and comfort, and we would pick the hard of growth if it was so simple. But we don't like that idea of what we would have to do in light of that.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, this unnecessary extreme is introduced as almost our negotiating tactic with ourselves out of what we know we really should be doing.
Yeah.
And what I find is that people avoid the wrong extreme.
Yeah.
So we go well, I don't want to become that. And they're actually far closer to being on the other end of the spectrum. And so the extreme they're trying to avoid is not the extreme that they're closest to. Again, hang with me. So I would say really simple on this. You're not close to burnout. You're close to laziness. And by introducing, I don't want to be a workaholic because I'll burn out, you've created this structure in decision making that now gives you license to stay in your laziness, to stay at the wrong extreme. Does that make sense? It's just a structure.
Yeah.
If I give a couple more, you're not close to being a health nut that all you can talk about is working out and what you're eating, everything else. You're close to not making any healthy decisions in your life. So if we go, there's the two extremes. You're introducing this extreme that you have actually, at this point in life, no chance of hitting as a way to stay exactly where you are.
Yeah.
You're not close to not being able to be with friends. You're actually close. So like for the financial discipline and debt, you're not close to not having a social life that you enjoy. You're actually close to not being able to get a loan.
Yeah.
You're close to not being in a position where anyone will lend you money to have a future.
Right.
And I just think one of the important things is I'll like read the things and people post them and they're super inspirational videos. It's like, choose your hard. Like, pick which one you want because you're going to have to deal with one the other day. And we have to be aware because in that moment, it feels so easy. We have to be aware of what is the excuse, what is the extreme that we introduce that serves as an excuse for us not doing the thing that we want to do.
Yeah.
So if I just give it personal and then we'll see where all you want to go with us.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, I have no problem working out. Like get in the gym, it's right in my garage, go run, play sports. I have no problem working out. Working out is a piece of cake. Healthy eating is a piece of cake. Do you like mine?
Yeah.
Like mine?
I was waiting for you. I know what you eat.
So stupid.
I actually know what you eat.
Working out is a piece of cake.
Yes.
What do I eat?
Piece of cake.
Piece of cake.
Yep. Every time you work out.
And I'll like, and this is what I've honestly found myself doing because I was so like, how this is at work.
Yeah.
I'll tell myself, well, I'm a pastor. And so like, I've got to be out. I've got to be meeting with people, stuff like that. A lot of that involves food. Like I have to do this. If I'm going to be effective in my job, then I have to be willing.
Yeah.
Now no one is putting a gun to my head.
Yeah.
Having me order burger and fries instead of a salad.
No.
Like no one from our church is looking across from me and just being like, well, he just doesn't care about me at all because he's only going to eat healthy.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is I'll tell myself, well, it's not a possibility in this role, and I can't take that extreme because it just doesn't work in my life.
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near that extreme. I am near to the other extreme.
Right.
And just by thinking about it, now I have an excuse for why I'm not going to do it. Two other examples real quick. My risk is not accessibility to people. My risk is a lack of prioritization on what really matters. So I keep pushing back the things that only I can do.
Yeah.
Like my risk is not saying like people will be like, hey, would you get coffee? I have pushed stuff back. Here's like bad confession. Okay. I have pushed stuff back in my schedule so that some people bow out. Sometimes my schedule's so busy that someone the other day, can we get lunch? Someone I enjoy getting lunch with. I can't do it for 3 weeks. By the end of 3 weeks, yep, I can absolutely do it. But like some of them, I'll be like, hey, push it back, see if you still want to do it. Stuff there. I have never told someone no.
Yeah.
And to go, that's probably not. And what I'll tell myself is, as I'll be like, no, I need to be accessible. I need to be able to be meeting with people.
Yeah.
But what my risk is to say like, now I've taken stuff that really matters and I keep pushing them back. And that's my problem there.
Yeah.
Is I'll say I need to be accessible. I'm not at risk of not being accessible. Last one. My risk is not neglecting my kids. My risk is not having friends.
Yeah.
And but in the moment, like we do this, you know what? We haven't been home with the kids at all. You know, because Bethany would literally go to every single social interaction there is in the entire world over and over again. But like I'll in that moment, I'll paint this unnecessary extreme that my personality is at no risk of doing. And I don't realize what people often don't realize is we actually live at the other end of the extreme. And by introducing that end, all you're doing is giving yourself an excuse out of hard, an excuse out of growth. And so my encouragement, just like in all of this, is just to say, you need to know your excuse.
Yeah.
You need to know the excuse that you're giving, that you're at no risk right now.
Yeah.
Of living into it. When you're hitting the gym 5 days a week and you're eating grilled chicken every single meal, you're at that point in time probably at risk of being a complete health nut, and it's all you talk about. Until then, don't bring it up.
Yeah, that's good. Once you're saying at the end of the day, you need to know your risk in order to understand what you're actually, or know your excuse so that you know what you're at risk of.
Yep. We introduce extremes for excuses that we are not tempted by in any way.
Yeah.
And we do it to bow out of the growth that we should have.
Yeah.
And I would say here's the real easy, and I don't have anyone like currently, but like so often with younger leaders is like, well, I'm not gonna be a workaholic. I'm not gonna be one of those people. It's like, you're lazy.
Yeah.
Workaholism is not anywhere in your cards right now. You're lazy.
Yeah.
Why are you introducing that? Because you're not actually addressing the real issue, which lives on the other end of the spectrum where you are.
Yeah, that's good. I don't want to take this too far down this path, but it's around the topic, and I don't want to change lanes too much. But the interesting dichotomy here that's just going through my head is the decision to work out if you're not working out seems like an extreme workout or extreme decision, but at the same time, when you're doing that, there's a goal in mind. You don't just work out to work out. I don't know anybody does that. Like,
correct.
Just work out. There's a goal in mind. I want to get stronger. I want to look better. I want to feel better.
Yeah.
Right? There's a goals. That's what actual goals are. I'm not this. I need to be this. But in the same decision making as making that decision to do it, you're making a decision that you're not going to be the other thing at the same time, except that at that time, those are predetermined goals that will happen when you don't make the decision for the one.
Yeah.
That are just unscheduled.
Yep.
So it's just interesting to me. It's like people don't recognize that the decision is a decision either way.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? And the extreme falls on an unscheduled timeline that happens where the goal setting for the one good thing that's happening is on one side, and the other one is a goal that you didn't schedule that actually happens. So you couldn't call it a goal, but it's an outcome.
And the thing that just like in the midst of all this that just, and I think the thing that I'm really after is I'm after a deeper level of not just self-awareness, but brutal honesty with yourself that understands the obstacles that you set up in your pathway to personal growth.
Yeah.
That was a mouthful, so I hope made sense to people. But it's just like, I'll hear, if we get into like parenting.
Oh.
Like the parents of the kid who is on the AAU team with 12 personal trainers and a chef. I'm deliberately painting the absolute extreme. But like that parent, they're not looking at it and going, well, I'm just not letting my kid be a kid.
Yeah.
Like they see other people and there's like, well, we're not going to be lazy. Where they're not, I've heard, like real thing. I've heard parents who live not quite that extreme, but still like where they're just not going to sit around at home all day.
Yeah.
Like they have never sat. Like your poor kid doesn't know what toys are. Like, well, they're just not going to sit around at home all day. And then I've had parents of like kids who like have no structured time outside of school. And it's like, well, I mean, we're not just going to run them to everything. Like we want them to be a kid.
Both extremes.
Yeah. And it's just like all they see is the complete other end and they make that as an excuse. And it's just like, or we go the other end. Someone who never enjoys their time and only works.
Yeah.
Goes, well, I'm not going to be lazy.
Yeah.
You're at no risk of being lazy. You are at risk of being a tyrant.
Yeah.
How do you not see? And you introduce that in, and now all of a sudden, what you've done is you've taken your extreme and you've tried to turn it into a virtue.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think that happens more often than we would like to admit in general as we progress down the road, especially with parenting. Let's switch the tables just a little bit in a practical sense. We got a few minutes left here. In the case of someone who working out is not a problem, they're doing it, maybe 4 or 5 days a week, a couple days rest. Got a nice program, progressing in it, doing well. This is I don't know anybody like this. And then they don't eat well. What's that look like for them? Do they start need to making decisions that change that what they're at risk for? Even those can look like opposites, but they're headed in the same trajectory. But so one they're doing well with, and one they're not.
But this more so gets it into like habit building, and stuff like that.
I gotcha.
And so like that would be like we could go there.
Yeah,
it's a lengthier discussion of how do you break down, how do you identify existing poor habits, formulate.
Yeah. Well, the other thought of this is, I can eat kind of what I want because I am working out.
True.
So like,
so that becomes the excuse.
Extremes, so like. Maybe that's a bad example. It's not a bad example. I think that actually checks out. But like in the working, I don't want to become a workaholic. So I'm going to cut every week off at 40 hours.
Yes.
Here comes 39,
gone.
58, 39, 59. Yeah. I'm out.
Or like, let me give it to my profession of preachers.
Yeah.
Like, the verse by verse start clear predictable pattern is like we want to be respectful of people's time and we want to make the most use of it. It is like you're not at risk of not doing that.
No, they're playing games on their phone.
Well, and then the other one is like the 4-hour service that you're like 2 hours in and you're like, what is happening? And you go, well, we're not going to quench the spirit. Like you're not at risk of that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you would pull that up because you're so far from it.
Yeah.
It's not a temptation to you in any way.
Yeah. So the goal at the end of the day, and if you have something here, please interject. But the goal at the end of the day is not to swing the pendulum so far back.
And I would say it is like, I don't have any problem with any, I'm not anti-radical extreme even. Like, that's fine. Just don't put the thing that is so far away from you it's completely out of sight as the reason for why you refuse to budge or change anything.
Yeah. I think you said it earlier about keeping, what'd you write? You said keep the wrong extreme in your mediocrity.
Yeah. Well, if it's just like real simple, hopefully this lands it for people.
Yeah.
And through an illustration, like someone came up to me and said like, have you thought about taking up running? And I responded with, I don't want to be an ultra marathoner. You would look at that and you would go, it's so stupid. Like, I was asked, have you thought about taking up running? Of course you don't want to be an ultra marathoner.
Yeah.
That is what people do when they introduce this. Because I would go, this could be a healthy habit. I go, well, I'm not going to be an ultra marathoner.
Well, that's great.
That's stupid. Like, why would someone introduce it? And we do it all the time. Go.
We're about out of time here.
So everyone has 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But the best leaders might spend 23 minutes with us today. Go.
I will occasionally introduce a concept to our teams, and it's not popular.
Yeah.
Which is some weeks you may need to come in a little early.
Yep.
Because it's going to you're going to get your mind. It's not even extra work. It's coming into the environment before people get there to get your mind and your heart in the right spot. Even if it's a half hour, maybe it's 45 minutes and a whole hour, right? You get and just get your body and mind ready for the day. So when you know that pile that's coming, you've already placed it in its rightful places in the day and you attack it. Instead of letting it attack you. But what's heard sometimes, and I've done it, I'm not throwing this on them, I've done it too when I hear it.
Go.
Is oh, that's going to take away my lunch, or that's going to take away my, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, not if you attack it right.
Yeah.
Like, not if you were able to do some of these other things, or I need to leave a little bit early now because I did that. It's a no, that's just this week. It's not every week, because I know these weeks are more important. So it's the mind goes to the other extreme in that moment where I got to come in an hour early. So now I need to figure out how to get that hour back. And it's like, no, sometimes you don't get the hour back now. It comes way back because of the time you spend up front. And that's exactly what we talked about in the last episode.
Exactly.
So,
and it's the sense that so virtue is actually the good attribute held in proper balance.
Great.
Because courage to one extreme is cowardice. Courage to another extreme is recklessness.
That's powerful.
And what we do in the moment is anytime someone starts to point out that we're not as far as we should be on one end, we go to the complete extreme or go, well, I'm not going to be that. You're not close to being that.
That's great.
You're close to the other end.
Yeah, that's it. That's where we're ending it today.
Loved it.
Episode 230, Know Your Excuse. If you're new to the podcast or haven't yet subscribed, it'd mean the world to us if you did that now. Also, post about it, rate and review. DM us too. We'd love to hear from you. You won't believe how that helps get this podcast in the hands of so many leaders like you, trying to get better like us. And we love hearing your stories of how the podcast is working in your life or business. If you have a story, like I said, DM us or hit us up on leadinghope.online. There's a button there. You click it, contact us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear those stories. Because they're so important in how we're progressing together. And remember, everyone has 20 minutes to learn to become a better leader. Make it count. Woo!